My name is, excuse me, Margaret Ann Windsor, and I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace in 1941. I was born in 39. This is a picture of my Uncle George, who's the illegal monarch, who helped take down my father, Edward VIII, who was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keeffe, sister to artist Georgia O'Keeffe. So the whole plot was to take down my father and install a monarch by the United States and the uh, global government, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, and Bilderbergers, because my father wouldn't go along with them. He never married Wallace Simpson, a double did. It was a plot to take him down. And George became illegal monarch in 37, and that's the year that Wallace married the double. My father abdicated because you had people in on it that plotted it. Um, and I'm scanning around here, and I'm going to quit because the phone has been messed up for a while now. And by the way, I just couldn't get stuff up. Now I look, and I never turned this on. It's it's got Bluetooth on. It's got the place where I'm staying here, their Wi-Fi, which I had cut off their Wi-Fi. Now it's back on with Bluetooth, and I can't get anything up. So I don't know if this will go up. Okay, I wanted to show this though because George remembers when I was put there. He got my phone number. He retired from the Navy. He lives in near Huntsville, Alabama. Uh, he called me, got my phone number. I don't know how he got it. I know how Jean did. She's the only one left of the siblings in that family. His mother was one of the siblings, George was, and they're all dead. But the family were horrible. There was rape and incest and everything in there. And I don't doubt that George's father and mother, I liked his mother. I mean, she had a bad time herself, but she knew about the murders of the twins, and they put me there and gave me the name of Peggy. Peggy had been killed about 2 weeks before I was placed there in 41 at age 2. And this is George here. I'm going to show it again. That's me in the middle. And Lina Dempsey killed the twins. And I want to mention this. This was one of the reasons I was trying to get this up. I wrote a book in 1978. I was writing it. Larry Flint was shot. Lawrenceville, Georgia, and he did an article endorsement in April of, well, I don't know if this is showing it. And it was a program shooter. I was writing about mind control murders and what can be done with mind control. But on this, I wrote about Larry McDonald, Congressman Doctrine. His plane was supposed to have gone down August 31st of 83, and Larry Flint flew me out there. I'd never met him. I knew it was one of the mind control murders, though. Now, I wanted to get this out front here. This is one reason for doing this. I had reason to believe back then during the campaign, August the 31st of 83, that I was back in Atlanta, Cobb County, Marietta, and I'd almost been killed. It was a hell of a life if it's ever shown. You talk about hate crimes, what this country's done against me personally, and I am Victoria, the second heir to the British Crown the day I was born, legal. What they've done to me and my sons, and the fact that nobody seems concerned about clearing my father's name, and yes, they all do. They do know it. They're not concerned about telling the mind control murders. Congress, the former presidents have always known about my kidnapping, the takedown of my father, and the invasion. Let's put it the way it is: the illegal treaties that let the United States invade Great Britain. And look at us now. They've got the real queen over here, beat the hell out of me, and are still doing it. But I want to get back to Larry McDonald. So somebody asked him, what do you think about Larry McDonald? He was Congressman Doctor. What do you think about the KAL jet from Seoul, South Korea that was shot down? August 31st of 83, which enabled me to get into the campaign after they'd already murdered me all my life, and I'm serious. Names that will rivet the world if they're ever told that got in on this mess. You talk about hate crimes, yeah, they hated me because they kidnapped me, brought me over here, and they didn't want it told, any of it. But anyway, was a question then if Larry McDonald was really on the plane when it went down. It was en route from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea. And Nixon, former President Nixon, who, Henry Kissinger and he were on the Watergate, Kissinger was, where they were killing me. The 18-minute gap. I worked for the district attorney in Huntsville after they'd almost killed me again. And they role-played it. And I could remember what happened then. And yes, Henry Kissinger is on the 18-minute gap. I don't care what anybody says. I couldn't make this mess up. Any of it could be checked out. Anyway, Larry McDonald was supposed to be on that plane. Okay, they took off Nixon, so they had to know it was going down. So why not take off Dr. Larry McDonald? After all, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, because I had reason in 83 down there. I had a little bitty campaign headquarters, and it was inferred by a newspaper, that that's what had happened. They took the whole plane down, 260 plus, into the ocean just to get Larry McDonald. But they didn't kill him. I don't think they did. In other words, they took down the whole plane to make it appear they took out that Larry McDonald was dead. Okay, so you can program the pilot. That's mind control in this. They don't know. They've got chips in them and don't know it. And make him fly into the ocean or into Russian airspace where they're going to shoot him down or into a mountain. So I didn't win the campaign, Buddy Darden did, but Larry Flint had flown me out there, and he states I knew who was responsible for his shooting. It was a program shooter, and Larry McDonald was part of it. Now, I really talk about hate crimes. I'm going to try to get this up while I'm at it. Charlottesville, Virginia. They don't tell about Anastasia. She's my cousin. They killed her. Mental health. Blue Ridge Mental Health did. She was married to a professor, Manahan. So I've put this up on some of the videos. Nobody cared about that. I told about mind control murders that can be proven, and that's the Morgan Harrington and Hannah Graham, who was from England. She was a student there. And then there, from nearby, there's Alexis Murphy murder. They haven't found her body. But these can be proven. They were done in patterns. But nobody wants us to tell what your government's doing about kidnapping me and taking down a monarch. My father was such hideous lies. Anyway, this whole thing in Charlottesville, they talk about hate crimes, is what this country has done ongoing to me. It's so hideous. No wonder they don't want it told. And they didn't tell the truth about what happened there. And I hope Sessions, who's from Alabama, will have the guts to get up before this lying press and tell the truth and prosecute and make known what was done to me in the state of Alabama. That's the rest of it maybe will follow then, of the lies and the torture and the maiming of me and my children in my country. And by the way, the Germans too, they did it to the Germans. So you talk about hate crimes, that's the Americans that hate my guts, that committed the crimes and still are to me. Anyway, I want to say something here. They have distorted the whole mess. The press has. They have never told about me. None of this about the mind control murders. How many people have gone to death row? Scott Peterson would go if this isn't told, or they find a loophole somewhere else to take Scott Peterson out. Now, I'm going to show you something real quick, and you won't get it unless this is told. I'm kept homeless. That has to do with the patterns in this. I'm not going to go any further. I can't. I won't get it up. So I did want to say this, though. Um, if you touch Martin Luther King Monument, they'd be hell to pay. You'd never hear the end of it. They don't want it told about Martin Luther King, Andrew Young, who was ambassador to the UN, partnering with, Martin Luther King did, with Kennedy, JFK. And the whole thing was they also had to take down Africa. Well, Africa was British, South Africa. So the whole point was to take it down. They did it with AIDS, Ebola. That came from the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta that I was writing about when the AIDS, just before the AIDS broke out. So they didn't befriend my country, they stole it, installed their own government, so to speak, from Great Britain, and monarch they install. They take out a leader and put in who does as the United States says do in the United Nations and Rockefeller's Rothschild, your global government that's chipping y'all, have been for a long, long time. So I guess I'm wondering here. I was wondering about Larry McDonald. I don't think he was on the plane at all. They took down 260 plus. Now then, what they've done to me, and I want to get back to Charlottesville. I want to mention Yardley Love, a student there. The young man's in prison. A very nice-looking young man was a student for murdering her. There's a whole list of Virginia Tech. He was from South Korea, the shooter. He was also a student there, and he was programmed. These people are innocent. They don't know they're programmed. They don't know they're going to shoot. They have no way to stop it. It's out of their control. So George got my phone number, and I'm going to go back to that George Washington Wade. How's that? By the way, JFK's son came up on the mountain in about 93 and 94 when I'm starving and freezing. Flew all the way down here, yes he did, with his buddy, just to see how they had made me live. Up on top of the mountain in rags and freezing and shut down, and it was a joke to them. They left, and by the way, he went down in a plane. And I've heard nothing about anything about how horrible they've been to me and my parents, the lies told, nothing of the truth, but how they loved JFK Jr. And how sad that was. Sad is what you've done to me, and you have no remorse whatsoever. Now, George he contacted me I don't know how long ago it's been now, maybe 2 years ago. He got my phone number. I don't know how he did, but Jean, the only one in that family that's still alive of the siblings, they've all known it. They killed Peggy and Carl, and Peggy was killed just 2 weeks or 1 week before they put me there, so her murder was planned, and the mother killed Carl right after he was born. They were born out of wedlock. And anyway, you should hear what they did to me to shut me up, because they were afraid if the book, they were always mean to me. They were horrible. And I'm not going to go any further. I want to read this if I can. I got a letter because George contacted me. And what he did, he said some things to me that were kind of, what the heck? And Jean had said them. They're trying to make me a little baby. I'm kidnapped, the monarch kidnapped and brought over here and placed in a pigsty where people assault and rape that family did. The father is horrible. And they want to make me the bad guy. No one of them ever thought about going to the law or telling me about it. I was told after I was out at Flint's, the British told me, and the Germans. So now then, I don't know if I can read part of it. All the letters are gone. He contacted me, and I liked George. I don't like what was done to me, but when I first came there, I'm 2 years old. He's 3 years older than me, and I've never slandered him or anything, but I do remember, yeah, George, I do. He reminded me when he called me, and he said he had earphones on, and he mentioned someone that I know back there. I don't know him, but he's related to Grady Reeves, who was MC and all that on TV. So I don't know what he thought he was going to do with it, because I thought George was probably the one decent in that whole family. He knows exactly what happened to me. He knows when I was brought there. He knows what he did to me. And if you want to get into how a little 2-year-old child that's just been kidnapped, and then I had my finger cut off, and it grew back, by the way. And I put that up. I didn't remember it until after I found out about my kidnapping and all that. I want to, but there's a lot to do with that about my finger being cut off. So don't tell me. I want to read this. And the other of his letters have disappeared. And he was the one that gave me these pictures, so I think he had a kind heart in him. And I never meant him any harm. The rest of the family, I hope to go to hell with everybody else in on this. My God, they deserve it. You talk about hate crimes. You talk about Charlottesville. Stop tearing down Robert E. Lee, a great general. If you hadn't done that, none of that would happen. If I, because of what's happened to me, lifted a hand against Martin Luther King and Andrew Young, I'd be put up against the wall, and it'd be the end of me. It's just about the end of me anyway. But they even renamed the park from Lee Park to Emancipation Park. Is that what they did? My God, what'd you think was going to happen? It's like you changed my name. And hey, you want your civil rights and all that? I haven't had one civil right. I've been tortured all my life. And I wanted to get to this. I want to get back to McDonald and the plane. Just before it took off, and it was supposed to have Larry McDonald, the Dr. Congressman. And again, what's your Congress hiding? For God's sake, people, your media. But I think, and I have a reason more than one to think that they took Larry McDonald off and took the plane down as to make it look like he's dead. So why did they take Nixon off the plane just before takeoff from Juneau to Seoul, South Korea? By the way, this is the last letter, and I come back and I'm looking. I had all these letters from George, and his wife's named Becky. I liked her. I have nothing against her. I've tried to tell as much of the truth and the pain and suffering which they should have told. It shouldn't be up to me. They all knew the Dempsey family and covered it up. They should have gone to the law and told it. All these people should have, and they didn't. They're the guilty party. Let me mind you, I'm the victim and my children. Now, I don't know. This looks like George's handwriting, but I get back. I got the letter yesterday. It goes, and I didn't. It was written July the 7th. So I was going to. It's total change here. By the way, when he called me, he admitted then that he knew about what had happened to me. Okay. So, I don't know if this is going to go up, but he's down here. And he's over here. You have to know the whole mess. I mean, how could he even say this? Listen to this. Peggy, my name's Margaret Ann Windsor, by the way. Peggy's the name they gave me, the twin that they fed to the pigs. Peggy, this was really the first time I ever heard about you being kidnapped. I hope we're still cousins. You seem to be a happy girl to me. Well, if that isn't the biggest lie ever hatched out of hell, so that I can't forgive anybody for.